Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is kind of a second part to what I'm doing to my tank, but this is strictly concentrated to the lights. My lights are an LED DIY build. I bought all the lights from rapidled.com, and then I bought my controller, which is a Typhoon controller. It came from Steve's LEDs. Currently I've had the lights on here going on probably about 4 months, and they've done very well. I'm very pleased with them, but I'm not happy with the amount of light that they put off, and I'll explain why. Right now what you're looking at is kind of more of what I'm wanting, but this is not only with the regular lights on, but the moon lights are also on, turned up to max power. The moon lights are basically just the cool whites, and then you run them at a lower milliamp, and you also don't turn them all the way up. You reduce the frequency. So this is more what I'm looking for, but at the same point, I also, I want to get rid of the lenses on the LEDs. I don't believe that the lights are spreading out far enough. So to do that, I've got to remove all the lenses. Well, some of them, when I remove the lenses from the glue I use to keep them on, they actually break off the diodes on the LED. So if you know anything about LEDs, that completely runs that light. So I have to replace it. So instead of taking and risking breaking the LEDs, I'm just going to remove the LED with its star heat sink from the complete large heat sink that they're glued onto. You put a little screwdriver under it, and it pops right off. They're actually really easy. I've replaced a couple already by testing, trying to get the lenses off and finding out that they broke. Had a few extra LEDs here that once I broke them, I could put them back on, and that's when I stopped. So therefore, what I'm going to do is I'll order more LEDs to replace the ones that are on this tank. Those LEDs that I take off, I can save and use for when I build my LED lights for the 30-gallon tank. The second thing I'm going to do is, I don't know if you've watched my LED build from when I built the lights. I said that I left room to expand. Well, from what I found, this tank is 2 foot from front to back, and then it's 6 foot long. So I've got 3 sets of heat sinks on here. The heat sinks are 6 inches by 20. So from length, I'm pretty good, but from front to back, it doesn't really work. Right now, the heat sinks are just about in the middle of the tank, and I notice a significant amount of dark space in the front and back. So therefore, what I'm going to do is order another heat sink. They've got a heat sink that's only about 2 inches wide, and I can put 1 row of LEDs on there. So what I'll end up with on that heat sink, I'll have 4 cool whites, 2 blues, and then I'm also going to switch all my neutral whites out for reds. So I'll also have 2 reds on those fronts. And then on the back heat sinks, I'll just switch the neutral out for the reds, and I'll probably add 1 more cool white. So basically, on every 2 feet of this tank in length, I'll have 14 cool whites, 6 blue, and 6 red. Now, there is a possibility that the reds will be a little bit overwhelming once I get them on there. So if that's the fact, what my plan is to go from there is I'll reduce the back to 2 or 3 reds, depending on how much it is, and the front will go to 1 or 2. well, it's already 2, so it'll go to 1. And then I'll probably also move one of the moonlights. I've got 3 moonlights on each heat sink in the big ones. I'll probably move one of those to the front. But that's my plan. So to do that, I'll be able to reuse the heat sink that's on the neutral whites for the reds, but I'll still have to add 2 heat sinks. That'll leave 1 heat sink for each color, and I'll have to have 3 heat sinks though for the cool whites, and then 1 for the reds, 1 for the blues. And there is I might have to put another one in there to handle some of the colors on the front. Haven't really figured out how I will do that, but with time I'll figure it out. I still got a little bit before I'm going to order them, a couple weeks. But right now the LEDs are doing great. The plants are growing, especially when I'm dosing, but since I'm getting ready to tear the tank virtually down, I'm not dosing as heavy, so kind of slowing the plant's growth down. So I haven't even been running the lights as long. But Rapid LEDs is a great company. They've got a great product. I can't say enough about the lights. It's more me not knowing how much lighting I need for this large of a tank. I mean, this is a big tank, and you just don't know how good your lights are going to penetrate through this amount of water, which it might also help the lighting if, 1, I didn't have the particles in the water that I'm fighting, and 2, the hoods that cover, the glass hoods that cover my tank, they're left over from what I bought from the previous tank holder, and he didn't take very good care of them. I'm in the process of also replacing those, so I've got a clean glass. Right now I can't even get the glass clean. There's so many water deposits that's built up over time. But that's what I'm doing with the LEDs. Comment, subscribe to my channel, and we'll talk to you later.